Hello and welcome to my studio. In this video I'm going to show you how I made this picture. This image was captured with an 80 megapixel medium format phase 1 sensor. The amount of detail and colour accuracy from the medium format sensor is just amazing. I repeated the photograph with my usual 20 megapixel full frame camera for comparison. And in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. Okay, so let's start with the subject. I'll come onto the camera in a moment. So what I've done is set up a seamless white background here and placed the subject on that. I've also set up a tripod at the front here. So the camera that I mentioned, this is a phase 1 IXA 180 80 megapixel medium format aerial camera. That is a camera that's used for aerial reconnaissance. So all those images that you see on Google Maps and so on are shot with something like this. And you can see that this is actually quite chunky. It's designed to go in a twin-engined light aircraft, and this one has been kindly loaned to me for this shoot. The cost of this camera is approximately $67,000. or about £53,000. Now this comes with a choice of lenses, and at the moment I have an 80mm Schneider lens on the front of this, which is roughly the equivalent of a 50mm lens on a normal full frame camera. So what I'm going to do is place this on this tripod, just like this. Now as this is designed for normally being in an aeroplane, there is no viewfinder as such, and there's also a few other little quirks about it. It's normally controlled from a camera control unit within the aeroplane, but it's also possible to control it from Capture One software. So that's what I'm going to do today. Okay, so I'll just add some power. This. There we are. And I'll plug it into the computer with this USB cable. And there we are. The software has recognized the camera, and we can see all the settings that are on the camera at the moment. So it has a shutter speed of 1/30th of a second, 100 ISO, and at the moment the aperture is set to f8. And there are an awful lot of other details within this that we can address, but all of those are to do with capturing at an altitude. So we won't be bothering with those just now. Okay, so with that done, what I can do is just grab an image and just see what we get just with the house lights. There we are. Okay, so it's a bit dull. The exposure's well under as it is at the moment. But one of the things that you can see here is that this is extremely detailed. If I just zoom into 1:1, you can see the sort of detail that we're getting already. Okay. So the next thing to do would be to light this properly. Now for that I'm going to use this LED light. This is a powerful LED studio light. So what I'm going to do is just turn that up to full. The full output on this is roughly the equivalent of a 5 kilowatt tungsten light, but this obviously is daylight balanced. We're just going to point that at the subject like so. Okay, so with that something like in the right place, we'll just grab another image and see what we get now. Okay, so the exposure on this is much better. And as you can see on the histogram here, we've actually captured both ends. There is a huge dynamic range on this camera. It is much, much larger than you would get on a normal full frame sensor. So just looking at the image that we've captured, you may be able to see that there is a slight color shift in the corners of the image. Now that's caused by the house lights. If you remember, we took a picture to start with which had just the house lights on, and in this image we've actually rendered quite a bit of the background. So in this image we've actually got a combination of the house lights and the studio lights. So in order to stop any contamination, I'll need to turn the house lights out. Okay, so if I now just grab that again, there we are. Now you should be able to see that this is much, much more neutral than it was before. So this is what we had with the house lights on, and this is what we have with the house lights out. So that's a much better result. But it's still not quite there yet. So I'd still like to just add a little more light, just to bring it to life a little on the background. So what I'm going to do is just add another light just here somewhere. So here I have another LED light. This is a smaller version of the one that's up there. There we are. This is the equivalent of around about 2 kilowatts of tungsten. So I'll just turn that up. Away. There. We'll just place that on the background like that. Okay. So with that in place, I'll just grab another image. Okay, so that's getting there. There is no real definition, and I'm getting a little bit of flare in here. So I just need to adjust that light a little. So what I'm going to do is just focus it in a little, like that. And I'm going to reduce the output by about 1 stop, 50%. There we go. Now the beauty of using LED lights is that they won't change their color temperature as you turn them up and down. So let's just grab that again. There, that's the sort of thing I want. So I've got a bit of a glow going on in the background here, which I quite like. But I'd just like to address this part in the corner here. This is a shadow caused by the flag that I've got on the front here, the barn door. So what I'm going to do is just bring that in a little and just rotate this. There we are. Just like that, so that I'm making it a little more pronounced. There we are. We'll just shade the camera a little as well. There. We'll just grab that and see what difference that makes. Yeah, possibly gone a little too far with the shading, but overall I think that's starting to get there. I might just adjust that a little, just the other way, like that. And we'll grab that again. Yes, that's just about the way that I want it. Excellent. Okay, so that's our image captured with this £53,000 camera. So as a comparison, what I'm going to do now is replace this with my normal full frame digital SLR. There we are. So I've swapped the camera out, and now I have the full frame digital SLR on here instead. Now, the previous camera, being a medium format, had an 80mm lens on it, so the rough equivalent is around about 50mm on a full frame camera. So if I set the lens here to about 50mm, we'll just grab an image and see what we get. So first of all, I'll just need to set the camera up so it's about the same as the last camera. So the sensitivity is the same at ISO 100, the aperture is the same at f8, and the shutter speed needs to be a 30th. So we'll just change that, like so. Okay, so with those settings, what I'll do is grab an image and we'll see what we get. Okay, and at first view, it looks almost the same. So if I just go through what we took before, and we'll go on to the last image that I took with the phase 1, which is this, you may be able to see that the colours in here are much more accurate than we had with the full frame camera. This is the result from the full frame camera, and it's all a bit compressed. Now that's a function of the dynamic range of the cameras. So this camera doesn't have anything like the dynamic range of the phase 1 camera. But having said that, it's still quite a nice image, quite a acceptable image. It's just not quite as accurate. Okay, so to do a proper comparison, what I'm going to do now is go into Photoshop and I'll bring up both images and we'll have a good look at them. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop and I've loaded up the two files that we captured earlier. So this one is the one which was captured with the 80 megapixel medium format phase 1 aerial camera, and this one was captured with a 20 megapixel full frame camera. Now there's a couple of things to notice straight away about this. First of all, that this is much smaller. These are both at the same magnification on the screen at the moment. So this being 80 megapixel has a lot more information in it. But the other thing that you can notice quite distinctly here is that the colours in here are much more accurate than the colours captured by the full frame camera. So if I just zoom into this one a little, in fact if I go all the way into 100% and we just move around the image a little, you can see it's all very good, but it does look very contrasty in comparison to that captured with the phase 1 camera. If I zoom this one into 100%, you get a real feel for the amount of information that's in this file. And the detail here is quite astonishing. So this is 100% magnification on the phase 1 camera, and this is 100% magnification on the full frame camera. So this is the phase 1 image back at a reasonable magnification, so we can get most of the image in on the screen. And what I'm going to do is just add a crop to that just to finish it off. So there we have it. I think the subtle tones that are evident in the phase 1 image gives a much nicer rendition to the actual subject than the result from the full frame camera. Although you can probably get a similar result if you try hard with the full frame camera, this is what you get straight out of the phase 1. Okay, so I thought that image has turned out rather well. Now if you like watching these sort of things, do click on the other pictures as they appear, and don't forget to subscribe. Oh, and hit the like button. Thank you very much for watching.